Hello, boys. I'm here in Ukraine. It's the third time in my life I'm here, and I arrived here two times recently. I mean, in less than 1 month, I think. Of course, by bus in order to avoid to wear the mask. And I'm here to explain the reason why it could be a good idea for men, obviously single men, to come here. Well, there are many reasons, of course. So if we mention the fact that it is for single men, of course, yes, we have to come here for girls, obviously. But in this particular moment, it is not the only one reason. And of course, even if the main reason was for girls at the beginning, and I came so many times in the east of Europe, so I say it's the third time I come in Ukraine, but I went a lot of times in other countries and more or less Slavic. I mean Slavic languages, even if it is not the same. Here I'm in Lvov, they speak a Ukrainian language. I mean Ukrainian is the most diffused, even if they understand the Russian language. And the point is, oh, those languages are all similar. I mean, not equals, but for example, there are many points in common if we consider Ukrainian language and Serbian language. That basically is the former Yugoslavia language. I mean, the upper part of the former Yugoslavia. So not only Serbia, but also Croatia and Bosnia. I went so many times to Bosnia, and they speak the same language. Basically, in Bosnia, it is better than in Serbia because it is written with the hour letters, so it is simpler to understand it. And well, it could be possible to be in front of a bit of confusion if you already. I don't speak Serbian, but if you know a Slavic language, because of course Moja Doma becomes Maja Doma, so it is like to know Italian and be in the condition to speak Spanish language, so to Neo-Latin languages. And yes, I think a good deal is if you have to learn a language, a Slavic language, learn Russian, because here it is a particular city. I suppose they told me also other few cities in the well, in the extreme west of Ukraine, they speak Ukrainian language, but for example, in the rest of Ukraine, they tend to speak Russian more frequently, even if now the government is trying to impose Ukrainian language, but it it will fail for sure. And so I remember when I went to Odessa, Nikolaev, in the Black Sea, I think the level of girls is higher than here. Here there is a great gender distribution, and as this is true in the entire Ukraine, and of course also in the rest of the former Soviet Union, I had many girls, of course. But this is a good advice for Italians. Go in a nightclub and try to find a girl which is already arrived and she is able to speak only English and not Italian, of course, because if she speaks Italian, it is because her intention is to sell her used vagina to a stupid Omega man, a loser. This is, we must be honest, this is how it works. So try to find a girl which arrives in Italy to work in a nightclub, but she is not able to speak Italian. You will have the advantage of many men in Italy. They are definitely not able to speak English. Neither, you know, an English like mine that obviously is far from perfection. But if you know English, I think it is the best choice. Even if somebody says that it could be better to learn Russian, of course, as a second language, because the first one must be English. And the reason is because to me it looks evident you have to interact with girls. They are able to speak English, and the reason I say this is because, you know, a girl which is not able to speak English in the former Soviet Union has not an I don't want to say high, okay, but neither an average social status, I mean social economical condition, and so not the education, the necessary education. And of course, it is better to have an interaction in this language, which can be considered like, you know, a neutral zone where you meet each other and you are able to share experiences and what you think about life. And I think this is the best choice because, okay, this is a quote by Schopenhauer, the German philosopher, and he says that if you have to choose a wife, or if not a wife, something that looks like a wife, it is better to choose a rich one and not a poor one. And the reason is because, you know, the rich one knows how to save money because she already had during her life, thanks to the family. While a poor girl wants to waste your money. Of course, you can tell me yes, but if I don't allow her to waste my money, of course. But it will be always a discussion, you know. So then the second reason, obviously, is because if you want to talk about Dostoevsky, it is better to find somebody having an education. You can tell me yes, but maybe we can talk about Dostoevsky also in Russian language, of course. But I'm not persuaded about the fact that a girl which is not able to speak English in the former Soviet Union has a good level of culture in other fields. So humanistic. So I don't think in other she can talk about Dostoevsky if she does not speak English. It is pretty difficult even if she is able to speak English, but I'm convinced that if she does not speak English, she is. It is not a good definition, but she is ignorant. And this is interesting. Also, another point in accord to what I already mentioned about Arthur Schopenhauer, and it is Fedorov Dostoevsky in his bigger, most famous book, Crime and Punishment. And there is a funeral inside a poor family, and Dostoevsky said, for poor people, what is superfluous becomes necessary. And I stand with it. I think it is true. Because if you have money, you don't feel the impulse to buy, like compulsive impulse to buy some stuff. You can buy, but you don't need them. And you start to understand that what you own will finish to own you. And so you prefer to remain, with a few stuffs you need, but nothing more than this. And I think it is a good way to live. While poor people, they want, kind of a status symbol. Always they want the most expensive object when there is another object that is working as well as this one, but it is cheaper, but they don't understand it. And there is a big diffusion of this mindset in the former Soviet Union. So, it is something that you have to consider. And but the point to come here to Ukraine is, first of all, is freedom. They say svoboda, because if you come from idiotry, now there are 2 months. I think it is a lower level of dictatorship, but it is always a dictatorship. We hope also this government will finish, but it will be very difficult because everybody is inside it. And so elections can be a way, but I don't consider the average level of Italians sufficient to express a good political representation. And it means that it will be, I don't want to say impossible, but pretty difficult that things will change. And so, considering this, you have 2 months where you can go inside a nightclub to take a girl in order to be, for September, with a girl, reliable, because here they are not so reliable. And consequently, you will have also, I don't want to say an house, but a good city to go, a good place. You can rent an apartment. This is, here I go inside little shops without the muzzle on my face. I arrived, of course, by bus in order to avoid the mask, as we have said. I never wear the mask in my life. And with the exception at the beginning to go inside, I used the shirt of the gym. Sorry, lady, I have. This is in idiotry. Sorry, lady, I have not the mask. I forgot it, or the Muslim shemag. But of course, I appreciate a lot the Swedish government of Sweden, and they are trying to. The COVID dictatorship is trying to change the government and to put the fucking right wing in charge in Sweden, because the fucking right wing is pro-mask, pro-muzzle on the face to go to the supermarket here. There are little shops here, 24 hours open, and so you can avoid to go to a supermarket where I suppose it is compulsory the mask. I don't go inside them, so. And you go inside the supermarket and nobody cares. No, sorry, inside the little shops, and nobody cares about the fact that you have not the mask. You don't wear the muzzle on your face and you can live free more than 1 month ago. While in idiotry there was the kidnapping, was forbidden to go out from your house, from 22 to 5 of the morning. I was at 5 of the morning to a disco without mask, of course, here in the city named Lvov or Lviv. It depends how you want to vocalize it. And I think Lviv is the Ukrainian version, so I prefer to say Lvov. No, of course, I think everybody knows that my view is pro-Lukashenko, pro-Putin, but unfortunately I can't go there because of bureaucracy. And I know people here, and I think girls here, I want to say they are more beautiful in Ukraine, because it is difficult to recognize them, of course, if we try to compare Belarus with Russia, with Ukraine. But I think in the extreme west of Ukraine and in the south of Ukraine, there are the most beautiful girls, 1 meter and 80 centimeters or taller, and also with high cheekbones, long, loose, dark hair, or by the way, also blonde, but I prefer dark. We can say a kind of Irina Shayk doubles. Sheikh Islamova, Sheikh Islamova. Yes, this is what you can find in Ukraine, even if Irina is a Russian. But another good pro is an up to Ukraine is the fact that they are, we can say, more conservative. This is true. And so you can find, I suppose this is the best place to find a girl to eventually to marry, because good traditions, not all of them, but They are less independent. Of course, they need money. It depends on you, of course, how many money you want to give. But I think the girl must be also economically dependent. Of course, you can tell me, oh, because Italians, they are stupid, not all of them, but they say, oh, you are paying love. I know my parents, my mother is a housewife, even if she worked when she met my father. So I think it is the best choice. But, okay, this is something that people not able to understand it, they will learn it thanks to the experience. It is necessary to be a provider, not because there is not another way to find a wife, but because it is the best way to find a wife. It is different. You can have a culture, you can be tall with muscles, slim, ponytail, what you want, but also strong personality. You can have everything, but listen to me. It is better to pay. It is better to pay, and I'm not talking about picking up hookers, even if I'm not against it. Of course, obviously, it is a good hobby. And if you agree and the girl does agree, who cares about the fact that you give her money? I'm not judging somebody. I don't care about it. I stand with this behavior because if people they are adult, they can do what they want. I mean, with a mutual respect, of course. And but I'm not talking about escorts or paying for sex. I'm talking about giving an economical contribute in order to avoid to have a woman breaking your balls. At the end of the day, this is this is the concept because in the West, not mentioning the fact that to find a decent woman, you must go with the light switched on during the day. But basically they are shortened with ugly faces and broken and so much used by many previous users. And but not only this, they want to comment, they wanted to impose an opinion, or by the way, they wanted to participate, they want to say something, and it is not good. It is better a girl which does not break the balls. And a good way to find this girl is to be a provider. It works. Somebody can tell me, oh, but if you have a strong personality, you can find a girl, also in the West, also without the economical contribute. Yes, yes. If she does not break your balls, well, she will. And so you will send her to. Okay. But, okay, it can happen, a certain type of personality. She can be also in a slave modality, also in the West, like to compensate for compensation for the fact that in the West, the mindset makes them something which is not more a reality we can consider. Females, they are not females anymore, and so sometimes could happen to find a slave. But this is not my target. And the slave you can find there in the West will be beautiful and tall for the West, not a planetarian value, but a value for the place she is. There is no way to compare the less ugly woman in the West to the most beautiful girl in the East. Because the most beautiful girl in Ukraine is by a long distance better than every female exemplar you can find it in the West. This must be clear. So this is how it works. I'm here, it's kind of excursion expedition. So I'm mentioning the SUV from Ford. This is a good place to come. Come here, because even if the government, the short Jewish comedian named Zelensky, tries to impose a dictatorship almost like the United Europe, he is trying to imitate, and he is trying to lead to Ukraine. Ukraine, he wants to put Ukraine inside the United Europe, but I think it will not work because they don't separate paper and plastic. And the point is, yeah, even if there is officially there is a rule, they break the rules. While in Ethiopia, for a different mindset, they break the balls. And so this is the correct place to come. Come here.